on this not too bad a day for October. And thank you for being here, thank you for being here with us. Now we've got one simple message. We want to keep one simple message. Our mission statement is simple. We stand against nothing but war, no person, country, cause or religion. We do not endorse any political party, anyone or anything. We simply stand for peace. If we can't get down with that idea, what can we get down with? So like I said, welcome to Glasgow. Glad to see every one of you here. If you haven't got a sign, get yourself a sign. If you haven't got a balloon, get yourself a balloon. The idea is to be as visible as we can be. We want to send a message. We want to send a message in peace. We're not here to shout and scream. We're not here to protest. We're here to send one simple message of peace. And we want that message to go out from here today across the world. And we may not be massive in numbers straight away, but we want to grow a movement. And we have people across the world standing with us. We have people across the world joining with us this afternoon because we have other initiatives, and I'll get onto them in time as we go through today. But we have other initiatives, and one of them is that on a 2 p.m. on a Sunday, wherever you are, so when you're not here, wherever you are, wherever your home is, go to your doorstep at 2 p.m. every Sunday from now on and stand for peace. Take a sign with you today. Take the sign to your doorstep and stand for peace, or make your own. All of the artwork's downloadable. Everything we do is downloadable and free. We want to send a simple message, and the more people using that simple message, the further it goes. So I stand for peace is our simple message. So when you're not at an event, keep this going, keep this growing, get the message out there, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbours, send a simple message, we stand for peace. Now we have tonight, this afternoon, we have a number of speakers, we've had a bit of music, depending on how timing goes, we might get you a bit more. But we've got a few speakers, and then we're going to hand out the balloons, and then we are going to march. But we're not going to march in an aggressive manner. We're going to march in silence, because we're going to send a simple message. We stand for peace. So without further ado, I will bring on our first speaker. So, okay. So some of you, most of you will probably know our first speaker, but he's going to introduce himself to you.
Is this working? Yeah, it is. All right. You'll notice I have got cards to read off because I've got the memory of a goldfish. So thanks, Alex. Thanks for introducing us, and thanks again for all of you guys for coming.
Put the mic further.
The microphone.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
On the mute,
So we've all turned out today. We've all turned out to stand for peace, haven't we? My name's Glenn Bruce. Me and my good lady wife have driven up from Doncaster today, and we fetched our little dog, the little peace dog Nancy, and she's standing for peace as well. If you watch the last Jacobite, you might know me as the man in black, but today I'm the man in white. So white's the colour of peace, isn't it? Well, white, dirty grey, whatever that is. Okay, all right. And I've come up here today because I'm glad to be part of this movement. I'm happy to be part of this movement, and I want to be part of this movement. Because this is the first of many. This is going to be the first of many rallies across Scotland first, and then across England. And we hope to keep this going and keep this great snowball going and gather more and more people. Now Glasgow is a fitting place for our first rally. Because the people of Glasgow have a tradition of standing for peace. They've got a tradition of opposing war. At the beginning of the First World War, Glasgow was known as the militant city. Glasgow was a leading centre of mass support for the anti-war movement. And many groups came together to campaign against the First World War. From the very first day of the war, all the way to the armistice, they never stopped campaigning, they never stopped standing for peace. And the leading light in that movement, was the Women's Peace Crusade. And they had the biggest grassroots following. And there's good reason for that. Because these women knew that war had nothing to offer them. That the First World War had nothing to offer them except hardship, except the death of their sons and their husbands, and they wanted no part of it. Okay. Now on the 9th of August 1914, 5,000 people gathered on Glasgow Green, and they protested the war. And Britain had only declared war on the 4th of August, so they very quickly sprang into action. But even by then, there were 5,000 people willing to come out. 5,000 people. Now, when Lloyd George, the Prime Minister of that time, he was invited up to Glasgow to receive the freedom of the city, and by those lot in there. And he had to cancel. The whole thing had to be cancelled because the city council feared that there would be a riot. They even feared that it might be the start of a revolution. So that's just how militant Glasgow has been, standing for peace. Now, even when the leaders of the peace movement, people like Helen Crawford, if you know that name, and John McLean, he was another great leader of the peace movement, they were arrested and they were jailed. But the peace movement refused to give in. They thought they would have cut off the head of the snake and the whole thing would fall apart, but nothing could be farther from the truth. They just kept growing. And by the end of the war, there were more than 100 branches of the Women's Peace Crusade right across Britain. To give you an idea of just how active that peace movement was, in one 3-week period in 1917, 24 street rallies took place in Scotland. From one end of Scotland to another, there were 24 peace rallies in 3 weeks. And that all culminated in one mass gathering, one mass rally, right here in Glasgow, where 14,000 people turned out. And they were mostly women and they were mostly children. And the children were holding signs saying things like, "I want my daddy back," things like that. It was a very emotional time. And they marched through these streets, these very streets they marched through, and they marched through this square, and they ended up at Glasgow Green. Now some of the women suffered quite badly. It wasn't plain sailing for these people. These women didn't have an easy time. They were attacked by the press. They were attacked by the clergy. They were attacked by people in the street. And so you would have thought, they would have given up. These women would have given up, but no way. They were strong women. And I know we've got strong women here today. We've got many strong women with us. And they were called cowards. And they were called traitors because they didn't stand for the war. But they never gave up. They never stopped gathering. They never stopped standing for peace. Okay. And it's that same spirit of these courageous women that Alex has started this movement. And I'm proud to be a part of it, like I say. And thanks for all their hard work today. Now, a lot of people would say that the hope for peace is an impossible dream. You're mad. It's an impossible dream. It can never happen. No one will listen. But I've got a message for all of you here today. And I'm going to read it out because I haven't memorized it. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider, because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a lasting difference. The more this broken system of greed and war tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that we have to keep moving forward. And we have to keep moving forward with the courage of our convictions. Just like those brave women from over 100 years ago. That's the spirit of the peace movement. And those, like I said, those women stood in this very square where we're standing today. Now this cenotaph behind me, is in remembrance of those brave men who paid the price. They paid the ultimate price for a system that actually failed them. A system that just keeps repeating itself. A system that sent their enemies to war, as well as them. And it kept sending men to war. War after war after war. And here we are today. And we're still at war. So, World War I was called the war to end all wars. And a common saying at that time was never again. Never again. But never again became again. And again became again. And again. And again. And it's been again and again ever since. So come November the 1st, I'm an ex-serviceman, come November the 1st, I will still be wearing my poppy. I will still be wearing my poppy with pride. I'll still honour them, but I will not honour the system that sent them to die. The same system that sent their enemy to die, like I said. A system that sees war as basically a means to an end. It's a broken system. A broken system playing the same game over and over and over. Well, I'm here today with you and with Alex to say no more of this lunacy. No more of this lunacy that has sent generations after generation to die. No, I'm not going to stand for it. I will stand for peace. I will stand here today with you for peace. I will honour these men from November, but today I will stand for peace. So, all of the politics and all of the isms and all of the plundering of resources has to stop. It all has to stop. And I know that sounds like an impossible dream, and it is. Now today we're small in numbers. We're just small in numbers. And the Peace Crusade, way back then, the Peace Crusade over 100 years ago, started out the same. It started out the same way with just a few brave people willing to stand up. But they, like I said, they had the courage of their convictions. They stood against war. They stood against war in a time of war. And here we stand again today. We stand with the world rushing to war. A war that's widening all the time. And that will eventually engulf us all. That war will engulf us all. Either from one end of the world or the other. So it's time once again to raise our voices for peace. Time to dream that impossible dream. That of world peace. When we walk through the streets of this city, just like those women did, let's be a ribbon of peace, a stream of peace, that I really hope will become a river of peace, a mighty river, and then an ocean of peace, an ocean of voices calling for peace. Thank you for listening, and stand for peace.